We're talking with David Dorn. David is president of Red Oak Medical in the Chicagoland area. Red Oak is in the business of providing CPAP equipment, respiratory therapy equipment for sleep apnea. And David, you've been part of chief executive boards for a couple of years now, is that right?
That's right.
Great. And you've recently taken in a couple of national summits.
Yes, I have.
And how do those compare with your local board experience?
It's a broader experience. I get exposure to more people with different businesses, with different business experiences, and that's all beneficial to me. It's a broader base of support and feedback that I can draw from.
Great. And when you first heard about this, what was it about this idea that originally interested you?
Well, there's really for me as an independent business person, there's no other place for me to go to get the kind of feedback and support I can get at CEBI. My accountant can't give me that, my lawyer can't, my wife can't, my friends can't. They're all important sources of support and feedback for me, but when I come here, I've got independent business people who will tell me like it is. Will tell me straight what's going on, and from their experience, when I've got challenges and things that are not clear to me in my business and what I can do to identify problems and resolve things and improve our operation, I can count on my co-CEBI guys to give me their experiences and send some really valuable insight and suggestions.
And they really don't pull many punches, do they?
They don't pull many punches. I'll keep this rated G, but yeah, they don't pull many punches. No.
Tell us about a couple situations where you brought something to your board and they've basically, shall we say, empowered you to go back and do something different.
The thing that comes right to my mind is it's difficult for me to fire people. I don't like to do that. It's probably the most difficult part about my job. Mm-hmm. And yet I've learned that in terms of my running a company and seeing my organization grow and develop, that's one of the most important things I need to do, is identify when we've got staff people that are not fulfilling the work that needs to be done. I gotta pull the trigger, and sometimes it's hard for me. I get kind of foggy thinking, I can tell myself, well, it's not so bad. This person's really going to be okay. I can work with them, and I can maybe figure out some way to avoid having to make that decision and have that conversation.
Somehow it's going to be okay.
It'll be okay, and somehow I can and you know what? That's just not true. At a certain point, and this is what the CEBI guys have said to me, is, one piece of valuable insight I got was, if you knew now what you know about this person before you hired them, would you have hired them in the first place? And that, to me, was a very crystal clear question. And the answer was no. And every time that I've had to make that decision to let somebody go, I can look back at it and say, what I would have done differently is I should have done it sooner. Mm-hmm. There's very few times I have regret that I made that decision, and fortunately with the support of these CEB guys, and I've made phone calls. I've been in very difficult situations with key employees who were in a place where they weren't performing, and I called some of my CBI guys and said, hey, what do you think about this? And they would just be like, hey, you know the answer. You know what you got to do. And without that support and without that, validation and that encouragement, I think it would be much more difficult for me to make those decisions. And they've been really crucial to my company's development.
One sort of infamous member of your Chicago board said one time, we've fired more other people's employees.
And you know what? Unfortunately, it's a difficult part, but it's a really important part of keeping my organization healthy and strong. So.
Yeah. It is.
And I learned that here, and I get the support for that here, in an ongoing way.
Yeah. And as a result of that action, then you had some time and some money to spend on somebody else to be some more value to your business.
Oh, as long as I've got somebody sitting in that chair who's not doing the job, I'm preventing myself from getting somebody in there who really can do the job.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple thing.
Yeah.
So, simple but not easy.
Now, you put some time into this. You come to a CEBI meeting, it's a day away from the office, it's a day away from customers and so forth. There are some people that would say, I just can't take that time away from my business.
Right, yeah.
How would you respond to that?
I spend plenty of time in my office, and this is an invaluable resource. It's a place for me to go and take a break from my day-to-day work, get a bigger picture perspective, check in with people who have different experiences than I do and different perspectives perspectives than I do and can say, look at it with a different set of eyes and say, here's something about a challenge that might be, I could sit in the office for 6 months by myself and not, really come to that. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's very efficient. It's a couple of days, and what I get from it is way more than what I'm sacrificing, what I might lose by not being in the office in that amount of time.
Some of our members talk about perspective, that they walk away from a meeting just looking at something differently than when they came in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not just the informational resources. I mean, there's just raw information, just data about websites that I didn't know about, or, techniques for interviewing potential job candidates, or, strategies for how to consider exiting the company, transactions, and what I should do to get my business prepared for that, if that's something I want to do at some point. That basic information is crucial. But in addition to that, it's just the benefit of experience. There's guys here, there's people in this organization that have a lot more business experience than I do, and that can offer me valuable. That experience is really valuable for me.
So you're thinking now about what it might look like when someday you sell your company.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. I mean, that's important. It's a huge asset for me. I mean, it's an important part of my my work and my long-term retirement and security. So, I want to definitely get information about how to go about what I need to do today to make sure that my business is strong and healthy and is going to be an asset that's going to be valuable to potential buyer, and how to what the various options are of how to structure that.
Mm-hmm. So how to make the business more valuable in the years that you might own it between now and then.
Exactly. Well, not only how to build my business and how to think long term strategically for what I need to do, what are my goals, and what I can do to create the business that I want to have.
Mm-hmm. And before your engagement with chief executive boards, where did you get those kinds of ideas before?
I might see an article in the Wall Street Journal. I might see something online. Maybe I see a book, that I read that might have something useful. I mean, those are all valuable resources, and I mean, there might be useful information there, but that's not really the same thing as having an ongoing connection with people on my local board, for example, that I see every quarter, who get to know me pretty well, and what my company's all about, and what our business is, and what our challenges are, as well as the national board. See these guys every 6 months or so. Yeah. So that's it's a more consistent and ongoing source of information and resources.
And there's some confidence and trust building in there, you're inferring.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I develop relationships with people that I have trust with. I mean, they know intimate details about my company and about my financial situation. And I know that about their company and their financial situation. So we kind of have a trust that gets built up about I can bring things here that I really have no other place to really get this kind of support and feedback. So that's been really useful to me.
I've had members say you just can't get this anywhere else.
I don't. And I haven't been able to until I joined CEBI. There was no place I was getting what I'm getting now.
Excellent. What would you say has been the best part of CEBI for you?
The best part about CEBI, I think, for me, has been to be in a community of other business owners. As an independent business owner, I'm kind of isolated. I mean, I have some friends who have their own businesses, but that's not the same thing as really spending a couple days and sitting down and talking about my business and hearing somebody else talk about their business, comparing notes, and strategically, wrestling around with business problems, or other types of problems, just kind of coming to some sort of ideas of like, okay, here's something I experienced that, and here's what I did, or something along those lines. So that's been, having those relationships and getting that input and support has been, that's been really valuable to me.
Wonderful. David, we appreciate your time today. This is David Dorn, owner of Red Oak Medical in the Chicagoland area. And David, thanks very much.
My pleasure. Thanks.